For those of you who have come tonight and have not spent the weekend with us, I'm just going to say a little bit about Brit Tzedek, and for those of you who have heard it, you can just relish it one more time. 20 months ago, 16 grassroots peace activists, Jewish peace activists from all around this country had the idea that we need a national peace organization to demonstrate the idea that there is more than one way to be pro-Israel. Brit Tzedek V'Shalom, the Jewish Alliance for Justice and Peace, is today 16,000 strong. And let me tell you, we are just getting started. A month before the Geneva Initiative was presented to the world, Amram Mitzna brought word of it to Brit Tzedek's second annual conference in Boston. Amram Mitzna is a member of Knesset with the Labor Party and one of the chief sponsors of the Geneva Accord.
I was born in Israel, and I lived and I grew up with the country. I served for 30 years in the army, 30 years in uniform, and I'm very proud of it. And I was starting from being a tank driver, and I finished my 30 years tours as a Major General, being partner in all the very important decisions and crossroads along the last 10 of years. I believe that we were so brave in wars and in combat, we are able to be brave in taking risks in peace attempts, in peace initiatives. And the current situation is characterized by, first of all, despair and loss of hope, which is a very dangerous situation for a person, for individual, and it is much worse to a society. The only alternative is to go back to the negotiation table and to try to achieve a permanent agreement. This is the idea. And Geneva Agreement, Geneva Accord, Geneva Initiative is a model. And it is an answer to the people that say there is no one to talk with and nothing to talk about. If we are ready to talk about the most sensitive issues, we do have partners. We went down to the last detail. We didn't leave aside any, even the most sensitive issues: Jerusalem, Old City, sacred holy places, borders, the issue of refugees. Everything we put on the table. We didn't push it under the rugs. And this is the uniqueness, because never before it was done. And the results, of course, is maps with a resolution of 10 to 20 meters. You have to understand it. It's very easy to speak about principles. And a lot of Israelis agree to principles. But when you go down to the details, it is much more difficult. The principles, and maybe the achievements, the full part of the glass. First, the Palestinians recognize the state of Israel as a Jewish homeland, which is very important. We didn't reach this announcement before. Secondly, Jerusalem, under Israeli sovereignty, will be the largest ever. King Solomon, King David, if anyone wants to bring the history and the Bible, this is the largest Jerusalem under Israeli, under Jewish rule, recognized borders, and of course, recognized by the world, which is not the situation today. There is a solution for the refugee issues. There is no right of return. I think that we found a formula which I hope will lead to even solve this very sensitive issue. The fourth principle and achievement is involvement, international involvement in the old city, in the holy places, controlling that the Palestinian state will stay demilitarized, and many other issues. The fifth, the borders will be, the permanent borders will be basically the 67 lines. Exceptions, about 2.5% of the land that behind the green line will stay under Israel rule. We will have to give 2.5% in another place, so the idea, the principle is 1-to-1, and it means that 75% of the Jews that live now on the other side of the green line will be able to stay at their homes, which will become under Israel rule. And the uniqueness of the Geneva Accord is, first of all, who are the two groups? And the most important is who are the Palestinians behind the agreement. I wouldn't sign this agreement if 6 months ago a very important group joined the initiative. And I'm talking about people that are coming from the refugee camps, from the Tanzim, from the youngsters of the Fatah. There is a man, Isham Abdul Razak. He is from Jabalia, the largest refugee camp in Gaza. He was in Israeli prison 21 years after an attempt. He didn't succeed to put a charge, a bomb, in Rishon LeZion. He was injured very seriously. And he is part of the people that signed this agreement. And he said, when I will stand in the middle of Jabalia, in the square of Jabalia, and I will say, I signed this agreement, a lot of people will sign, even not reading what is written in this agreement. I'm sure that the Geneva Agreement will be, at the end of the day, the agreement that will be signed by the parties. The only question is how much time it will take and how many people will lose their life along this process. Now, it is very important that the Jewish communities in the United States will raise their voice, because we are partners. It is not just Israeli state, it's the state of the Jewish people. And you have the right, you have the duty to say it loud and clear, to stand on your foot, and to be partner in this struggle for the benefit of the state of Israel.
Amram Mitzna invited Brit Tzedek to send a delegation to Geneva for the public launching of the accord. Hundreds of Palestinians and Israelis arrived by the busload and were besieged by press from all over the world. The stars of the day, of course, were Yossi Beilin, the prime initiator on the Israeli side of the Geneva Accord and a former Minister of Justice, and Yasser Abed Rabo, the chief partner on the Palestinian side.
We need this chance to be the last chance.
Abed Rabo is a long-term leader of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. He is a former Minister of Culture in the Palestinian Authority and a close associate and confidant of Yasser Arafat. The delegations included politicians, generals, writers, artists, and activists.
I should have expected that.
I want you to meet two people, Diane Balser.
Happy to. Same here.
Steve Master.
Hi, Ron. Good, I'm fine. It's very good to see you. Yes.
We are Brit Tzedek v'Shalom.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And there were well-wishers from all over the world. There truly was a sense there that peace is possible.
To the Palestinians and to my people, to the Israelis, those who say that there is nothing to talk about, are now faced with our plan. Those who say that there is nobody to talk to are watching today as hundreds of people from the hearts of our societies demonstrate their commitment to implement this plan. We are saying to the world, don't believe those who tell you that our conflict is unsolvable. Don't try to help us manage the conflict. Help us to end it. Any solution will need the world to guarantee security, to monitor the arrangements, and to provide financial resources. Today, we are building a coalition of sanity that has a pragmatic solution to confront those whose sole solution is to eliminate the other side. The mission of all of us today is to enlarge our coalition as much as possible. The document is virtual, but all of us are real, and our heartbeats are real. And that's why we are committing ourselves to fight for peace. The opportunity to have pragmatic partners who belong to the mainstream of our two societies is not open-ended. It is still possible, but the abyss looms closer and closer. If the right steps are not taken, the picture of this gathering in Geneva might become one of the last glimpses of sanity. Extremists on both sides have made this conflict their way of life. They will tell you that it is impossible to end the violence, that the settlements enterprise is irreversible, that terror will go on and on forever. We are saying to you, every issue can be solved. Don't give up on us. Thanks to all of you, and to you, Yasser Bedrabo. Thank you for being my partner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I came here today accompanied by Palestinians from all walks of life. There are here with us people who spent more than 20 years in prison for their dream of ending the occupation. They cling to that hope that the thousands left behind bars will find freedom for Palestine and for their comrades. We have all been touched by the conflict, by the occupation, by oppression, and we are all yearning for a peaceful future based on justice, founded in freedom and rooted in dignity. Today, we are extending our hands in peace for peace. What do we do if officials do not meet, if governments do not negotiate? We cannot wait and watch as the future of our two nations slides deeper into catastrophe. It's our duty to introduce this model to them, to prove to them and to our peoples and to the world that negotiations are not necessarily futile, that they can be productive. Forces are at work which prefer walls of separation to bridges of coexistence and cooperation. They are telling us that we cannot reach a solution, that we are a lost generation, that the best we can get is a long-term interim solution based on the facts being created today on the ground. They hope that the separation wall and the annexation of Palestinian land will be the permanent solution disguised as part of the peace process. This will be a disaster. Israel might become bigger, but the price will be too high. The Geneva Accord guarantees the basic aspirations of both peoples. For us, freedom and independence within a free sovereign Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital, and a just and agreed upon solution for the refugees. For you, our neighbors, a secure Israel, living as a normal member of the international and Middle Eastern communities with its character intact. This is the simple solution for this complicated conflict, and it is the only possible solution. We proved in this document that historical compromise can replace endless confrontation. We proved that our basic interests and aspirations can complement one another, that they do not need to conflict. We proved that we do not need to destroy the other in order to achieve our dreams. We proved that our respective national dreams do not need to become the other's nightmares. Colleagues, allow me to speak directly to the Jewish communities around the world, to liberal and conservative Jews, to secular and religious Jews. Let us work together. We have an opportunity in front of us. Let us not waste it. The Geneva Accord is the formula for a historical solution. We share the same values of justice and equality that gave rise to civilization and have cooperated against injustice together throughout our history. Let us not fail our history and our heritage. Support us so that our basic needs and wants, our dreams and aspirations can coexist with yours, that we can both thrive and advance. Stability can only come if there is a real hope of a better future. We have imagined peace in detail. Thank you all very much. Let's raise our hands.
הרי כולם יודעים את האמת ואף אחד לא אומר אותה. סוף סוף יש אנשים שאומרים את זה קצת לפני המחנה, אוונגרד, לפני המחנה. התחושה הכי גדולה היא שנמאס שאי אפשר לעבור יום במדינה הזאת בלי דיכאון. זה בכל מקום שאתה יוצא לרחוב, בכל מקום שאתה מסתכל יש חוסר אמונה, חוסר תקווה, וחייבים להפסיק את זה. אני בן אדם בן 30, אני רוצה שיהיה לי לאן להסתכל, אני לא רוצה לרדת מהארץ, לא מעניין אותי מקומות אחרים, כאן מעניין אותי, וזו הדרך היחידה שאני רואה. צריך להשלים.
يخلصونا من اللي احنا فيه. بعرف انه مش راح يكون سهل وانه في كتير محاولات، بس انه بدنا نحس بتغيير مش زي كل المرات الماضية. بدنا نشوف شيء جديد، انه امشي بحرية في البلد بلا ما اتنكد وبلا ما افكر انه هلا راح يوقفوني وهلا راح يسالوني اسئله مين انت وايش بتسوي هون، وشيء طبيعي اني اكون موجود هون. امل في انه يكون في شويه حريه، نشم شويه حريه في البلد هون.
החשיבות של היוזמה הזאת שהיא טובה, מקובלת על אנשים שמשפיעים בשני הצדדים, והייתי מאוד שמח אם היה משהו שהיה מתחיל ליישם אותה.
אנחנו בעד יוזמת ז'נבה ובעד כל יוזמה אחרת שאולי תביא שלום סוף סוף למדינה הזאת ולאזור הזה, וכל הכבוד למי שמתאמץ לעשות משהו, כי ראש הממשלה כנראה לא מתאמץ.
يصير سلام حب بين اليهود والفلسطينية بس
هم بدهم سلام لازم يكون في حب طبعا بيناتنا.
With all the excitement of today, and there really is a tremendous amount of excitement in the air, and there is hope in the air, and there is a concrete objective. If we don't act wisely and persistently and incessantly and urgently, then we are at risk of losing the entire enterprise, and that's precisely what we don't want to do. And here the American Jewish community, I think world Jewry, has a tremendous role to play. I think a proud Israel, a humane Israel, an Israel that is truly a democratic country with a Jewish majority, can become and remain and be the homeland of the Jews, not only physically but also spiritually and morally. And if people can rally around that cry, that will be tremendous.